we are here at the MAREI PartnerCast, and we have a lot of businesses that we work with, either as business members or that we use in our own personal business. One of those businesses that I work with personally in my business is Kevin over here at REI Blackbook. I started using REI Blackbook in our business probably this week last year, something like that, I believe.
All right.
And I'm actually going through and resetting everything up again, because once you get into REI Blackbook, then you learn what it does, and then you learn another step, and then you learn another thing. And so I think I'm using a fraction of it. So welcome to our PartnerCast, Kevin, and tell us a little bit about yourself and about REI Blackbook.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me, Kim. Really appreciate it. So Kevin Carrol, I am the sales director here for REI Blackbook. I've been in some sort of sales roles working with small businesses, medium-sized businesses for about the last 13 years, kind of focusing on like the sales systems, marketing systems, the follow-up systems for small business owners to ensure that they go out and market, they go out and generate leads, and basically what's the process to be as effective and efficient as possible with converting those leads into revenue down the road. So what we do here at REI Blackbook, our mission statement is to empower small business owners through systems, software, and just as importantly, education, right? So what we've done, we're actually celebrating our 12-year anniversary this year, and it'll be 12 years in October. Very excited. But so what we started with 12 years ago is completely different than what we look like today. Actually, you've been here for a year. It's probably changed quite a bit, even in just that last year, not to speak for you here, Kim. But so we started as a CRM and kind of email automation type system on to help real estate investors specifically follow up in emails and capture leads and all that. So what we've morphed into today is more of an all-in-one platform. What I mean by that is, investors will go out and we have to have a phone system, right? Whether we're subscribing to, CallRail or Google Voice, whatever those different phone numbers are. And then we go out and get websites somewhere else. And then we, need to subscribe to a CRM, and then we need to tie our dispo side of things and our task management system. So, there's a handfuls of different software programs typically that most investors are trying to plug in together, they're subscribing to separately. So in order to make that easier and to empower those small businesses, what we've done is put everything in one platform, built it with the intention of working together. So, the same code base, it's literally built with the intention of the phone system communicating with our follow-up sequences that connects to the contact database, so we track everything. So long story is, what we do is take all of those tools that real estate investors need to effectively run their business, put it all in one, so it's easier to use, easier to implement, and it's a much lower cost to be more efficient is the long answer to that, Kim.
Yeah, I know when I started, I was paying $199 for a CRM that I hated. I was paying $199 for my website, which I'm still using, but I'm working on converting to yours. I was paying $199. I wasn't paying it yet, but I was looking for call tracking, and that was going to be another $199.
Yep.
And then there was other stuff that came with REI Blackbook that I could pay for separately. But I was looking at, I took a $600 bill and brought it down to, I think with my discount, because I paid annually, it's like $179 a month. And I have those three items that I was paying for all in one.
Yep.
Plus I have all these other tools. So I thought that was fabulous. So
yeah, it's not uncommon to have people who are paying $800-900 a month for these different platforms. And they come here, first of all, they're saving hundreds of dollars a month, but more importantly, when something goes wrong or something breaks or so on, trying to track down who to call when something goes wrong. Do I call the phone system, or is it the CRM part of it? Where's the connection broken? So there's plenty of different other benefits as well to having it all in one, other than just the cost. So
well, and my other problem at the time was I was looking for something that would automate, and everybody I talked to said, "Oh, use Podio." But every time I look at Podio, I'm like, I have to hire somebody to run Podio for me.
Yes.
And
yep.
I'm like, and then I looked at this and I'm like, all the automation I wanted was already in REI Blackbook, and I didn't have to go hire somebody to make every tool out there connect to one thing. So I thought that was fabulous.
Yep.
So I kind of know what it does. And I think you kind of went through a condensed version of what it can do for investors. So I'll move on to my next question, which is, I know a lot of our investors are out there. They're struggling really hard to generate seller leads or buyer leads, or maybe they're not an investor and they're just trying to keep track of all their customers for buying windows or all their customers for buying flooring. And, so that's very helpful. It's not just for investors, but our investors in general, they're really struggling to generate leads right now. We've got here in Kansas City, I think we've got a 0.7 days on, or 0.7 of a month worth of inventory on the market. So we have no houses for sale in Kansas City. And I know that's the way all over the country.
Yes.
What are some of the REI Blackbook customers using? What are their best ways for generating leads right now? What are your customers doing?
Well, it's always a trick question. That's a very common question that comes up, right? Obviously, in market change up and down, and different strategies work better than others. I'll say today, what we're seeing the most activity around is obviously direct mail. That's the tried and true, been around for a long time. Trying to find those motivated sellers that aren't on every other list that people are providing. So on, direct mail is still alive and doing well. And we've got quite a few investors that are doing great things and getting big results still from the direct mail side of things. So definitely direct mail is on that list. Another thing that's gotten pretty popular the last year or so, and we've got some really nice success stories with this, is online ads and specifically pay-per-click. There's, so getting really effective as far as, Google pay-per-click ads and different keywords and things like that. That we've seen, especially in some of those more competitive markets, it's not necessarily the lowest cost form of marketing. And there's definitely some expertise. And if that's not your core competency, that's definitely something you would look to outsource or not try to manage yourself. But the quality of leads coming in can be quite high, and you'll have a much higher conversion rate, but you're not working in such a big pool. And then the other thing that kind of comes up too is for those newer investors, right? How do you start marketing and get generating leads on low budget? So a lot of times direct mail can get expensive depending on the size of the mailing list. Pay-per-click ads can get pretty costly upfront to get started with, for sure. But driving for dollars, that's a great way to go out and find those off-market properties that may not be on a list that you're going to go and acquire from one of the list sources. And it allows you to focus in the neighborhoods, the areas that you're looking for, the actual properties that fit your characteristics for your niche. So driving for dollars has produced some pretty good results for our users this year as well.
And I know a lot of the training, some of the demos talk about the leaky bucket syndrome. And I can attest that REI Blackbook helps you with your leaky bucket. I discovered this week that my bucket was leaking very badly, and I would not have figured that out if I had not been tracking my phone numbers through REI Blackbook. This week I was getting notices from my REI Blackbook system that I was getting a call, and my call service was telling me they got a call, but REI Blackbook said they talked at least 2 minutes, and my call service was telling me that the seller hung up on them, and they had no information other than their phone number. So I found a big leak in my bucket, and we're working on fixing that right now. Thank you guys for making that possible. But what are some other things that the REI Blackbook system would do to keep us from losing our leads out the holes in our bucket?
Yeah. So if you ask the majority of our current customers, what do we do best? And we do, like you said, there's 15 things that we do really, really well. It's a very powerful system, but if we had to pick the one thing that makes the biggest impact on our customers' businesses daily, it's the follow-up engine, right? Our workflow engine is what we call it. And the idea behind it is, frankly, it doesn't matter how the lead is generated. I don't care if it comes in from a direct mail campaign, if they're calling in from a radio ad, a TV ad, a bandit sign, whatever it is. But when that phone rings, it creates a contact, it saves it. And basically forwards it, routes it. It's trackable, right? So if they come through a website or respond to a Facebook ad or a pay-per-click ad, the same thing is going to happen. So the key is that the lead is captured as soon as the lead responds to whatever marketing that we've done. And then more importantly is most of us aren't able to answer every single phone call that comes in. We're going to miss some of those phone calls. Even if we're forwarding it to an answering service, sometimes maybe they're missing those calls or not handling them correctly, right? So what we do is if those calls are missed or if a lead comes in through an online source, what we preach is the 15 by 3. So when a lead comes in, what's that first 15 minutes look like? If we missed the phone call, well, we want to have a system in place that's going to maybe send them a text message back right away, confirming that, hey, we know that you need help. We're going to call you back here shortly as soon as we're available. If we miss that 15-minute window, well, what's the next 15 days look like, right? So we can automate those text messages and ringless voicemails, emails, whatever that follow-up sequence to get them back on the phone and ready to talk about that property that they originally responded about, and basically systematizing that. And to take it one step further, Kim, and I know you're familiar with the long-term sequences here, but just because a lead calls in or responds to marketing doesn't mean that they're ready to sell, quite ready today, or that we're even going to catch them at the right time. We might play phone tag for the next 2 weeks, but most investors, if we don't have those systems and processes in place and identified up front, we're going to lose leads on the backside. So we've went out and spent all this money on marketing and went through all this effort to get those leads to call us. And if we don't have the right system and process in place, well, they might leak out of our bucket on the backside in a month from now because we're working on today's deals and we didn't follow up enough. So those leads are going to call us and re-engage with us when they're ready, not when we're ready. And having REI Blackbook's workflow system ensures that doesn't matter what marketing strategy they responded to, what time of day they responded to, if they called or went online or texted in, our system will automatically follow up with that lead for up to like 15 months, hitting them with text and ringless voicemails. And there is a lot of deals out there, 7, 8, 10 months, 15 months down the road, if we just follow up with them enough. So
yeah, the follow-up, we had the killer deal that we never followed up with. We had a deal that came in 2009 and we made an offer. And when we tried to follow up with the seller, her phone number no longer worked. And so we had made an offer based on the way the house sat that day. And a year and a half later, she called us and asked us if our offer was still good. Never mind, she put a brand new $20,000 roof on the house. Yes, our offer was still good. Oh, and by the way, the house had improved in value since our offer. So that was a $100,000 deal.
Oh, wow.
That we would have lost if the seller would not have followed up with us. So deals, the money is in those follow-ups.
Hey, right before we hopped on a call today, I just had a call from an investor up in Madison, Wisconsin, who told me, and we built out some follow-up systems about a year ago for him, but somebody who 13 months ago originally came into his bucket, he just closed on that deal yesterday, and it was a $60,000 paycheck for him. But that was a 13-month follow-up sequence that was automated. They finally called back, and he picked it up from there. So that's what he said. He goes, well, he's like, I just paid for REI Blackbook for the rest of my life. So thank you. So there's definite power into that. Absolutely.
Well, my lady, it got even better. She followed up with us a year and a half later. We didn't know we were supposed to follow up with her after we bought her house. She called us a year and a half after that and sold us another one. She keeps inheriting houses, destroying them, and selling them on. I have. Yep.
So. Yeah. There's a longtime REI Blackbook user named Darren. So he's famous inside of our community. So what he had done a handful of years ago was, we all make offers all day long, right? Our business is trying to make as many offers as we possibly can. So in 1 year, he ended up getting 13 extra deals after he was told no on his original offer. So what he did was create a workflow that was, hey, they didn't accept my offer workflow. And what it did was follow up with them a couple weeks later. Hey, if you want to revisit this, if you want to look at different terms and so on and so forth. But over a 3-month period after that offer was initially declined, he got 13 more deals in 1 year, and that process was automated until they picked up the phone and called him back. But they're still getting text messages and emails and things like that. So 13 deals in 1 year from people who had told him no already, and it's an automated process. There's powerful stuff in there if you follow up enough.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of your customers sharing deals. I love the private Facebook group, so we can go in and ask questions, but share motivation. And I love hearing what the other people are doing as well. Let's see. I started with this about 1.5 years ago. Right then, one of the things was what marketing is working. So I was like, where are my deals coming from? And other than, instinctively in your head, I know this was a probate lead, but to figure out what marketing was working, I couldn't do that other than manually tracking it on an Excel spreadsheet. So how can REI Blackbook help me figure out where my leads are coming from?
Yep. So that is so important. It doesn't matter if you're a real estate investor or any business, right? So, it doesn't matter if you're a plastic surgeon or if you're a real estate investor. Being able to track what marketing is working is absolutely critical. There's actually a quote, and I'm a big quote guy, and I'll nerd out here for a second with you, Kim, but there is a chief marketing officer for a Fortune 500 company that was quoted a while back that his marketing budget is $500 million a year. So $500 million a year is his marketing budget. And he was real happy because half of his marketing is working. But the bad thing is he didn't know what half. So this is a problem for an individual real estate investor all the way up to Fortune 500 companies. But to answer your question, there's a couple things we do. So one is from a marketing standpoint, we like in our small business plan, we actually include 10 trackable phone numbers. So most people's like, what do I need 10 phone numbers for? Well, it's because just what we said, we want to be able to track our marketing and handle those calls correctly. So if we've got a direct mail campaign and we've got a radio ad running and maybe we've got a direct mail going out as well, right? So we've got banner signs and direct mail and all these different things happening. Well, having trackable phone numbers, one, we'll be able to gauge what's, how many phone calls are we getting per line? We can pretty much customize what that process is. So, if we're chasing probate versus distressed sellers, there's a different talk track and a different messaging. So one, you're going to be able to follow up more personalized to each one of them, but you're also going to know, hey, my direct mail campaign got me 32 leads on this. I spent $500 on those postcards. I spent $500 on Facebook ads and only got 2 leads. So it allows you to really kind of focus your marketing efforts that way. And then to take it a step further, just beyond having different phone numbers for each one of these campaigns, the other thing is we give unlimited campaign tracking links. So what's really cool about this is maybe we're going to run an ad on Facebook or we're going to, drive people on a radio ad or TV ad, whatever the case is. But we can create those campaign tracking links specific to this exact marketing campaign and this ad, and we can create a link in less than 2 minutes. And it will track every single time that link was clicked, how many leads came out of it. And you can really, really drill down into those KPIs, right? Those key performance indicators that, hey, this is my cost per lead. This is my cost per deal. This is what marketing strategy is giving me the best returns. And we make it really easy to do inside of our platform so that our investors know, hey, my next $5,000 that I'm spending on marketing, I'm doing this and not that again. So it's all about, and marketing strategies change as well, right? So depending on what market we're in, what time of year, this and this and this, you need to have that power at your fingertips to know where your money is going to be returned in the most effective manner.
Yeah, and I actually went to a training this week with you guys on the tracking links. And the other thing I liked was if I was going to run 2 different Facebook ads at the same time, that I could have a tracking link for one picture and a tracking link for another, or I could run one with video and one without, and I could see which one performed better. Although I think Facebook will track that for me as well. But I would have to like be combining efforts of two different systems. That way with the tracking link through REI Blackbook, I can just look in one place.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So in addition to tracking links, like we've got the direct integration with Facebook too. So running those ads is easy up front, but being able to track and split test those different ads, if it might mean one extra deal a month by running the correct ad there. And so it adds up very quickly doing that. Absolutely.
So I can get tracking numbers to tell what marketing's working. I've got tracking links to tell what marketing is working.
Yep.
And then to make that marketing more effective, I can target my response because I know where it came from.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, so
then
you can set the
follow
source. So, I mean, that's just it. You might run an ad campaign today. And like I said, we've got deals that are coming into us through our workflows 12, 13, 14 months down the road, right? Well, when that person does respond back, that's the other benefit of our system is as soon as that person re-engages, we've got that entire history right there associated with that lead. So we know that, hey, this person originally responded to my Facebook ad that I ran in August of last year, for example. These are all the text messages. When I spoke with them on the phone, we've got call recording, so I can go back and listen to a conversation that I may have had with that person a year ago and know, oh, okay, this is why he's in this situation. And when you call somebody and can personalize that message to that degree back, it goes a long way with building trust, rapport, and frankly, just brings professionalism to what we're doing as real estate investors.
Cool. And it's also helped me. This is not a thing that REI Blackbook promotes, but I use the contact management system for my direct mail. So
Yep.
I can upload my whole list, and then my whole list, not just my one list, but my 20 lists are all in there, and they're all searchable. And so I can search by subject property. I can search by seller. I can search by the deceased person's name. And before this, I was doing all that on an Excel spreadsheet. So if I had a return mail that I wanted to remove, or somebody said, take me off your list, that was a 5 to 10 minute process. And now I can just go in and sometimes it's a simple process. Now, when I get the calls from somebody else's marketing that tell me to quit texting them, I have a very hard time. I had a lady the other day and she kept calling us, telling us to take her off our list because somebody was sending her ringless voicemails and texts. And I'm like, it's not us. We don't know who you are.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I mean, and you mentioned like the direct mail and split testing this. So we have investors that will use a different phone number based on different postcards. So, hey, I'm going to run a blue postcard and a pink postcard, for example, and I want to know which one goes best. And everybody always, thinks that, oh, the pink one's best or the blue one's best. And well, we make it easy to find out because, send the same numbers, have them call different phone numbers. And right there, it'll give you your answer. So yeah, I mean, you can get pretty granular with being able to track which one's working best, who called in from what. And the good news is it maintains that data from start to finish. I mean, there's relationships that might be 4 years old, right? From a lead, maybe somebody's got 7 different properties that we're going to work with, over that period of time, and being able to centrally have that data in one spot, track every conversation, marketing, text messages back and forth over that entire period. There's a big benefit to that as business owners for sure.
We've talked about a lot of features. Are there any other features that your users really like that we've not talked about? Because I know there's other things I don't even know about.
Honestly, that's always one of the challenges for us, right? So when you've got a system that's as robust and does a little bit of absolutely everything, the biggest thing that I always tell everybody is like, don't come in here and try to implement every single piece of our platform into your business, right? So if you're looking at it and using you as an example here, Kim, it's, hey, I need help with my follow-up systems. Well, focus on that part first. We do it very, very well, and that's going to have an immediate impact on the number of deals you're doing and what your operations look like, right? But everything from, I mentioned the websites and landing pages is to give you like that online professional presence, the phone system to allow you to track all the phone numbers and marketing activities, the CRM, it's amazing in itself. But we also have a task management system, right? So if we've got 5 people, we've got an acquisitions person and a dispo person and all these different roles within our companies. Well, this is a nice way to make sure that all of those tasks that are associated with, all right, this property needs to close, these 5 things need to get done. And here's who they're assigned to. These are the due dates and these are the details. So it's got a really nice task management system. The other thing that we do extremely well, and actually we do a bad job patting ourselves on the back and screaming loud enough on this, is the disposition side of things. We actually have some really large investors that, they're using other systems on the front side because, they've got their whole teams trained on them, and there's a lot of stuff that's already in place, but they use us strictly for the dispo side of things. So we've got a couple people here in St. Louis that literally sell hundreds of properties a year using our REI Blackbook. So a couple things we do is we give unlimited single property websites when it comes through. We've got a full system that will help you look at some generic comp data. It'll help you analyze profitability on different exit strategies on a deal. And then once it comes time to actually dispo the property, right, it comes time to sell, you can create and publish a website in a matter of a couple of minutes. Have it posted onto your buyer's website with a push of a button. But there's also a button, and I don't know if you've seen this yet, but we will syndicate that property out to third-party sites. So you can press one button inside of REI Blackbook. Not only does it put it on your websites and generate, that property on your listings, but we're going to send that thing out to 30 or 40 outside third-party sites to get extra eyeballs on there. We mentioned the tight inventory across the country. And I've got no beef with real estate agents in any way, shape, or form, for the record here. But what we've seen a lot of times is, people who have traditionally used agents to sell properties on the backside in a market like now, save yourself those commissions. You don't have to do that. And we make it really easy to press a couple buttons and again, get that out to 30 or 40 outside third-party sites. So that way you're going to get a much higher offer in a much quicker way. And then if that doesn't do it right there, we've all got our buyers list. People who we have sold properties to we make it easy to basically email blast out right there. So if you wanted to send an email, say, hey, check out 123 Main Street right here. Here's the pictures. Here's the offer. Here's a link to the website. You can email blast that out, or maybe do a text blast out to all of your buyers list, for example, with a push of a couple of buttons, and they can link and look at that property right there. So we do some amazing things on the dispo side of things.
And we can also set up a text number. So if we had a house for sale, maybe not right now, but in a slower market with a sign in the yard, we could put text this
Yep.
word to this number, and then they would get a link to the property with all the information right there.
Yep.
Or they could put their name in on a list and get
Right.
more information. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, we've got some people doing cool stuff there. They'll text in a keyword and it'll automatically send them back a link to the property, a link to sign up to be if wholesalers, a lot of times they'll want to generate their buyers list, text in and it'll send them back and where you're looking for properties, what type of characteristics and price range and this and this and this. And then basically it'll automate your buyers list and generate demand and build inventory right there. It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I like the contact management system that we can sort it however we want. We set up our own categories, and I've never really been able to sort my buyers because all my other systems, they would give me all this information about the buyers, but I really couldn't really sort by any of that. Right. So I just have all my buyers are in an email list, and I email one property to everybody. But yep. Now I can have all of my buyers go in and actually give me their buying criteria. It's automated. Yep. So then I can go in and I want only buyers that buy here in this price range for this type of property. And yep. Then I'm not sending my apartment buyers, my little crappy 2-bedroom house. And I'm not sending my little low-end buyers my apartment complexes. So I can separate them out and only send them what they want to see. Because yep. I know my email inbox, I get 5 or 6 emails from wholesalers and other investors every day. And because they're not really what I'm looking for most of the time, I don't even look at them.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. So there's big value into what you just said, because we all have inboxes, and if you see the same name over and over, and if you open it 10 times and none of it interests you, you're going to quit opening it. So and actually that's one of the things that's probably changed in the last 12 months since you've been with us, is we actually rolled out that cash buyer website. So I don't know if you're even using that, Kim. But
that's a 2021 project to get
okay,
it
all right,
ported over.
Yeah, and the whole idea of that is so we give you 10 websites, so you get lead capture websites, and if you're a landlord, we've got rental websites that really, they can apply and manage your inventory for rentals. But on that cash buyer website template that we just created, the whole idea is to make it easy for them to segment themselves on an automatic basis. Make it easy so you know exactly, hey, I've got a property on this side of town with this characteristics. Well, hey, I'm going to sort my list, and that's the only people that's going to receive that communication. Your buyers list, one, is going to appreciate that. They're going to open your emails more often because it's going to speak to them more clearly. And then the other part of it is when they want to pick up the phone and call you because they're interested in looking at it or they want to make an offer, our phone system will allow them to say, hey, these are my VIP cash buyers, for example. We call it smart routing. And say, hey, if it's my VIP cash buyers, I want that forwarded to my cell phone every time. I don't want that going to my answering service. I don't want that going to voicemail, whatever the case is. So you can basically give them the VIP treatment all the way around and let the system automate that whole process. So
yeah, I want to use that. Right now, I'm really not worried about selling properties. Anything I put out there, it's gone in 4 hours. So, but I remember, when the market wasn't quite so hot, and I'm sure we'll be that way again, having to take a couple weeks or a couple months to sell a house. And so that's probably when I'll be digging more into the cash buyers side. I just haven't had to deal with that for probably about a year and a half right now.
Yep. That's absolutely right.
Well, we've talked a lot about REI Blackbook and all the systems it does, but let's switch gears a minute. I'm in the private marketing group, and I know Damon, the founder of REI Blackbook's been talking about big changes coming. And I know a lot of our watchers are either setting up their systems or they're already set up where they're cold calling lists, or they're cold texting lists, or just sending ringless voicemails to lists without having any contact with those people. And while I know you're not the expert, Damon's our expert on that. I know you know something about what's going on, and I just wanted to see if you could give us a little bit of insight.
Yeah. And this has actually been coming up quite a bit here recently for obvious reasons, right? So that's one thing I didn't mention on the marketing side was the cold calling. That's a very inexpensive way to generate leads, and it's not necessarily illegal. But one of the things that we have to be absolutely certain of is, are they on the do not call list? So as any business owner, it doesn't matter if you're a real estate investor or anything else, we have to really make sure that we're not calling people who are registered on the do not call list, because that's when we get in trouble, fines get reported, and people, there's some big penalties associated with contacting those people, especially if you do it consistently as part of your business. But this frankly has been a trend for quite a few years. So, and we've had a hard time seeing like what position we really want to take, because our platform does do text blasting and you can send a ringless voicemail blast, but we've been very, very vocal as to don't do that to cold list. Damon's been screaming for years, and it wasn't always a popular opinion that he had, but he never backed down. And the reason being is, we don't want to set up our businesses to basically be reliant upon activities and marketing strategies that aren't legal. And that's become very true the last couple of years. So I don't know if you've, like, the TCPA, it's like the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, I think is what it stands for here. Don't hold me to it, but TCPA is basically the governing laws and regulations over businesses contacting consumers. So, automated text messages and automated ringless voicemails blast. If we go out and just buy a list and send an unsolicited text message out to 5,000 people, that's not legal. You can be fined, especially if they're on the do not call list. But the whole idea is, before we do that, they would need to opt in. We would need to have their written consent in order to contact them in that manner. Now, I'm not saying that you can't send a one-off text message, and you can do that in the platform. You can send a text message right there using one of the phone numbers, and that's not a big deal. But as far as what that legislation and what that means to us as investors is, there's more and more pressure getting put onto the carriers themselves. And so last year, not to get too nerdy on this, but you may have heard of the Traced Act.
I've heard a little bit, but I'm not by far an expert on it.
In effect, what it is they're requiring the carriers to do a better job of tracking who the bad actors are, right? So if we're consistently sending out unsolicited messages, the carriers now are taking responsibility into saying, okay, Kim is the one who sent that message 3 months ago, and she did it there, and there. They weren't opted in, and basically they're going to be able to come back after you for fines and penalties and all that other things here. So part of the Traced Act was it extended the statute of limitations. Before, it was always a year. So if you sent an unsolicited message right now that was illegal, they would have a year to come after you, and basically you'd be responsible for it. Now it's 3 years. That was just one point of it. Plus, it increased fines and everything else last year. So fast forward to this year, and actually, I think it was 2 weeks ago, they just came out with some. Basically, they're going to require business owners to register their marketing campaigns. They're going to do a better job of just like we've seen like the potential spam pop up on our cell phones the last few months, right? I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah.
They're doing the same thing with text messaging. They're doing the same thing with those ringless voicemails, and it's those automated communications. The carriers are getting much more creative at blocking them from even getting delivered up front, or putting potential spam on there and everything else. So I'm kind of going off a bunch of different rabbit holes here, but at the end of the day, just buying a list and cold texting a list is going to become more and more difficult and risky, frankly, as we go forward, because we're going to have fewer messages get delivered. The penalties are going to be higher. And it's just, we don't want to set our businesses up to live on that kind of uncertainty. And we probably would be better off if we focused on those inbound motivated seller leads, generating our inbound leads as opposed to just cold texting and cold calling and automatic dialers and things like that. It's going to get much more difficult to consistently use those going forward here.
Oh, that was what I was looking at about this time last year. I was like, okay, we need to revamp our marketing. What should we do? But looking all these rules and regulations, the writing's on the wall, and I didn't want to spend a year developing this awesome system that generated a lot of seller leads that one, I was going to get fined for, and two, it's going to get shut off at some point. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Or me, my phone can ring and ring and ring all day. I don't answer it because 95% of the time it's a robocall from somebody. So I just don't answer the phone anymore. It's fear. Yeah.
And the idea is to protect us as consumers. None of us like to get I won't say none of us, very few of us like getting robocalls and spam calls. And, so I always like to think of like putting myself, I know we're all marketers and we have to generate leads, but I'm much less likely to do business with somebody who's spam calling me than I am with somebody who I might want to respond to an ad or actually calls me on the phone personally or something like that, versus these automated text and, click here and the robocalls. And it's just, I wouldn't want to do business that way myself. And you're probably going to have much more success focusing on generating people who actually want to talk to you and that actually need your help. Then you don't have to worry about fines either, Kim.
That's true. Okay, well, I know we could sit here and talk about all the ways we can market for 3 days. I mean, I know you guys do. I've been to 2 training classes in the last year I've been here, maybe 3 of 3 days of just how to market using all the systems at REI Blackbook. So, and we're trying to keep this at 30 minutes, and we're going on 45 now. So,
oh wow!
How can our listeners, one, dig more in, get more information, get maybe a demo of how REI Blackbook works, and maybe a 14-day trial possibly.
Yeah, so we have just recently allowed for free trials. We've historically always charged a sizable upfront licensing fee, and you had to pay to get started and everything else. So what we've done is allow you 14 days of full access. So you can get in there and build out websites and use the phone systems, and basically we're not restricting it down like some of the free trials that you may see out there. So it's full access for a full 2 weeks. Gives plenty of time to get in there, mess around. And then what else? The other thing that we're doing is we're giving you a couple of our bonus workshops. So you mentioned the follow-up sequences and how that transformed your business. Well, that's true for about 90% of our customer base is, hey, I need help with follow-ups. And if there's one thing that I could do better is following up. So we did a workshop on that, on how to build out the short-term and long-term strategies and step-by-step on how to implement that into your business. So we've got that workshop. And then we also did the Unlock the Full Power of REI Blackbook workshop. And what that is you mentioned earlier, like, hey, it does 15 or 20 things. Every investor is going to have 2 or 3 really important things that they probably need to implement now to get really quick results and to drive growth and scale, right? So that workshop there is intended, we break it down into sessions and say, okay, I need help with online ads. And so, you can focus on that aspect of it. And, as you grow and do different things, we can always implement other parts of it. But so in addition to the 14-day free trial, we're giving you 2 of our best training to really put you in a position to implement, be successful, and maximize your revenue on the leads that you're generating today. And I believe you have a link set up.
Go ahead.
I was going to say it's at marei.org/REIBB free, if I remember correctly.
Right. Yeah. And I'll add that into the video so they have something to click. But I would offer a word of advice using that free trial. I would not sign up for it right this second. I would write that down, marei.org/REIBB free. And then when you have time to sit down for maybe 2 days, then start your free trial, maybe the night before, and then get in and go through all of those, pick one of those trainings to help you get set up. Because just to turn it on and then look at things, you want to set something up. So have some time to actually go in and set some things up so you can test them out and see how they work. So
yeah, and since you signed up about a year ago, we've actually kind of changed what that initial experience is too. So when somebody signs up now, we actually have there's 5 or 6 really short videos. They're 5 to 10 minutes long, and here's how you get your phone number set up. And it's, like I said, 5 to 10 minutes. Here's how you get your first website set up, and basically step-by-step instructions on how to get up to speed. So that's a good part of it. And then the other thing that we're also doing is we are implementing daily, we call them basically daily demos, daily demonstrations. And what we're doing is hopping in and kind of giving a high-level overview of the websites, the phone systems, and how they all get tied together. So if you sign up for that free trial using your link, part of the welcome email that you get, as far as, hey, here's your access to the platform and this and this and this, it's an invitation to join one of those daily calls. So after they activate their free trial, we're going to invite them to that one of those daily sessions. We do them Monday through Friday at different times, so they can get a better understanding and a personal walkthrough of that, Kim. So
and ask their questions a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. There's Q&A and all that good stuff. Yep.
And then when you get to the end of the free trial, you're going to go, this is just awesome. And then you're going to go, okay, well, I'm just going to use it going forward.
That's right. Yep. Most people, once they get started, they never leave. The
other thing I really like is once you become a customer, you do have that private Facebook group, and there are people, a lot of the gurus out there are part of your private Facebook group because they use your system. So I go in and ask a question about pay-per-click. There is a pay-per-click expert that will answer that question. Or if I want to know how to do subject to, there are 4 or 5 other people that do subject to that are expert, can answer my question there. So it's a great little community within itself for just about anything there is to do in real estate investing. So.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, there's strategy questions, software questions, you name it. But that's the other that we didn't always include education as part of our mission statement as a company, and we added that a few years ago because it's, you can have the best tools out there. It doesn't matter. The software could be the greatest thing since sliced bread, but if you don't educate them on the strategies behind being a real estate investor, how to use the software, and then ultimately how all of that ties together, is a big part of what we're doing. And that that Facebook group's an integral part of that, Kim.
Yes, I really, I run a Facebook group, but now those are the two groups I'm on every day. Those are the only posts I see. That's all I see is REI Blackbook and then my group. Those are the only posts that Facebook shows me anymore, because that's where I'm at every day.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I want to thank you for taking some time with us today. I'm sure everybody that's listening or watching the replay are getting a lot of great information. We're going to get this out on YouTube and out on our blog next week, and it'll go out on our email, and then it'll be up forever. So
awesome.
It'll be great. But thank you for joining us, and I look forward to the next training. And I'm going to go jump on and get on REI Blackbook now and work on my call flow, and because we're implementing a new call service, and I have to get that functioning with REI Blackbook. So that's awesome. My project today.
I love it. Kim, thank you so much for having me. Always a pleasure to catch up with you.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to turn off recording.